Hi guys, so in this video we will discuss nucleic acids, which is the fourth biomolecule that we will discuss for this course. So nucleic acids, this video we will talk about how structure convey information. And we all know that your nucleic acids carries the molecules of heredity, right? So let's go to the first section of this presentation in this video. All right. So your molecules of hereditary are of course your DNA, right? Because as we all know from the last module that we have these tens and even hundreds of thousands of protein for each organism. So can you imagine how was this possible? How was how do our body carried out this very complex from that small to the largest proteins? And we just started from that 20 amino acids, right? So how these amino acid sequences, the primary structure, has been arrived, or how the body or how our cells synthesize those amino acids. So the answer for that would be your heredity. So the information how we synthesize this came from our parents. So namana natin yon. Just as your piglets came from your pigs, we came from our parents, of course. So heredity is the transfer of characteristics, anatomical as well as biochemical, from generation to generation. So anatomical meaning if you have a dark-skinned mother, or maybe it will be passed on to you. Maybe your father has a good voice, good speaking voice, then you may have this kind of trait. If you have maybe also biochemical, maybe also emotional, or any other type of traits that had been passed on from generations to generations, right? And this has been mixed and mixed because we came from different parents. From a father came from another family, and this our mother came from another family. So there's always this mix up of genes, mix up of traits, and the mix up of hereditary information as we go along, and as we produce, or as generations come by, right? So, but then what's how does, or what form does this information take? So the answer for this would be your nucleic acids, your DNA, and your RNA. So your DNA and your DNA can be found on the chromosomes of your cell, and chromosome can be found on the nucleus. Okay, that's the central part of that cell, right? Of a eukaryotic cell. Okay, we all know that we are eukaryotes, and our chromosomes, our DNA, can be found and protected inside the nucleus. Okay, so your chromosomes is a complex of DNA, which is in which DNA is complex with a histone. Histone is a protein, so meaning your histone is wrapped around by your DNA, which is double helix, as we all know. And your DNA actually carries the hereditary information, and gene is a certain region in the DNA that carried this information to synthesize a specific protein. Okay, so gene is just a specific or a certain region in a long chain of that DNA. So the information that cells which protein to manufacture, or to produce, or to synthesize is carried in the molecules of DNA. So DNA carries the recipe, carries the direction on how these amino acid sequences will be synthesized. Okay? So let's go to the structure of your nucleic acids. So we all know you have your RNA and your DNA. So both of them has their specific roles or functions in the transmission of hereditary information. We will see that later on. And they are located at different locations of the cell. DNA is located on the nucleus while your RNA is located outside the nucleus. It can be found on your cytoplasm or the cytosol. And what is common to these both to both of them are they are both polymers, right? So polymers meaning they have a building blocks just like your protein. They have the building blocks of it is your amino acid. Your monosaccharides are building blocks or the smallest unit of the polysaccharides or the polymers of your monosaccharides, right? So your DNA is actually uh, a polymer also, and also your RNA. So what are the building blocks of this nucleic acid? These are called your nucleotides. And it has three components, your nitrogenous bases, monosaccharide, and phosphate group. So let's go first to your nitrogenous bases. Alright? So nitrogenous bases, from the word itself base, meaning it has basic properties because they are heterocyclic aromatic amines. Remember, aromatic compounds, guys. Right? So they are aromatic compounds, aromatic amines. Also, they are classified as purines or pyrimidines. So you have your purines, you have two rings here, while pyrimidines only single ring. Okay, for your purines, you have two types of purines. You have adenine and guanine. So what's the difference between them? Well, your guanine has this carbonyl group instead of this NH2 or the amino group for your adenine on that position 6. While also guanine has this amino group on the position 2. Okay? So this is your purines. It has two rings, while your pyrimidines has only one ring. And you have cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Okay? So your cytosine is has this NH2 instead of this carbonyl for your thymine and uracil. While all of the pyrimidines has this carbonyl group at the position 2 of that ring. Alright, so what's cytosine can be found on DNA and RNA. Why? While the unique pyrimidine for RNA is uracil, while thymine is for DNA only. Okay, so what's their difference? This CH3, this methyl group, right? So just this methyl group present in thymine while absent in uracil for that RNA. Okay, so these are the main or these are the nitrogenous bases, the part 1 of your nucleic acid or your nucleotides. Then the next part is your monosaccharides. So uh, remember that monosaccharides are your sugars, the carbohydrates. So your nucleotide has this carbohydrate part. So for RNA, you have your ribose, your beta D ribose. It's beta because this OH is in trans configuration with your this CH2OH, right? While for your DNA, it has your 2 beta 2 deoxy D ribose. Okay? So what's the difference? Just this OH here, if it has an OH, this is a deoxy sugar. Deoxy, nawala ang oxygen. Okay? So kaya yung DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, okay? While your RNA is ribonucleic acid. Okay, so all of that, both of them are beta sugars, beta anomers, and they are furanoses. Furan ring, or they have five. This is a five-membered ring: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then if a base or your nitrogenous base and your monosaccharide combined, that's your what you call your nucleoside. Okay, nucleoside, guys. Nucleoside, that's the highlight here. So for example, your ribose and your adenine, which is a purine. Okay, so if they will combine or they will bond here, forming a beta N glycosidic bond. Okay, that's a beta. All right. So it forms now your adenosine, okay, nucleoside. While if it's a uracil, right? This is a uracil. So this uracil is a pyrimidine. Sorry, it's a purine, right? So now you have again a beta N glycosidic bond with ribose sugar. So this is the ribose or the nucleoside of uracil, and ribose is your uridine. Okay, and the last part of a nucleotide T, nucleotide is the phosphate group. Okay, so for example, you have your adenine, right? Your adenine and then your base, and then you have a phosphate group here on that five carbon, position 5 of that uh, sugar. It has a first phosphate group. Thus, it is what you call your adenosine monophosphate. While if it has two, then it's your adenosine diphosphate. Now, if it has three phosphate groups, that's your adenosine triphosphate or your ATP. So technically, your ATP is a nucleotide. So it one now we can see that nucleotide functions not only for the transfer of hereditary information, but also as a currency for the energy of our cells, right? So this phosphate group, this PO4 3 negative group, forms a phosphate ester with the nucleoside. And that bond is from that five fifth position of that carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So your nucleic acid has your nucleoside, which is a base plus a sugar. If it's a nucleotide, a phosphate group has been added. Now, if this three parts, this base, sugar, and phosphate, has been complex or bonded with another nucleotide, so it forms a polymer now, nucleotide, 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 nucleotide. Now it forms a chain, and that's your nucleic acids, guys. Okay, so on the next video we will discuss the levels of structure as we go along with your this nucleic acid. So see you on the next video, guys.